Get going here. My name is Ben Cowie Haskell, and I'm the co-president of Sustainable South Shore. Welcome, everybody. And this, as you probably know already, is Judith Van Ham, and she's my partner in crime. And we've been doing this together for, I don't know, 2 or 3 years. Prior to this, I tried to be the president, but failed miserably.
No. He ran some great big huge celebrations down at the Marshfield Fairgrounds.
Yeah, we had a thing called this South Shore Celebration at the Marshfield Fairground for 2 years, which was a great success, but just a lot of work. So we weren't able to sustain that effort, but nevertheless, here we are, and thank you for coming out tonight. It's great to see so many students and young folks. So tonight, the program is to share lessons learned and to learn about the projects and programs that you all have undertaken at your schools. And how many schools about do we have?
About a dozen.
A dozen. That's great. So we want to hear from you, and we want to share information tonight as much as possible. So what we thought we'd do was sort of use a panel technique where we ask groups to come up based on different theme areas, whether it be recycling or growing vegetables or what have you, and sit up here and you can tell us about the program and we can ask you questions. Do you want to add more to that, that technique?
Did Julie get here from Sacred Heart? I don't know her. Okay. Great, thank you.
But before we get into that, I think we should do a quick round of introductions of everybody, so at least we all know a face to a name.
I'm going to read the name of your school, and if you're from that school, if you could stand up. So if anyone is from Braintree? Excellent. Thank you. I don't think Cohasset this year.
I don't see anything.
Okay. Hingham High School. I know what happened to Hull High School. Hull High School is buying a house. The teacher, Sheila Blair, who's their advisor, the owner of their house said we want our house back, and so she and her husband have to buy a house, and she has to go home and sign for papers. So, Silver Lake. Marshfield, a Marshfield. Jim and I used to teach at Hull, and I am absolutely delighted. This man is an incredible educator, and I'm so pleased to have him here tonight. Thank you. Okay, Milton, the town of Milton, the Milton school system. Milton Academy.
Oh.
You're Milton Academy. Did any of the Milton school system come? No, I mean besides. Okay, let me tell you what sort of took precedent over that's sort of almost a pun for what happened to the Milton. Bernie Sanders is at the Milton High School right now. Okay, so go Bernie. If you're 18 or older, please vote tomorrow. And Quincy. So I'm super glad that you're here. A number of you do things that are somewhat similar, but you're at different stages of the growth of that in your school, so I thought it'd be nice to share. The topics for sharing are recycling, composting, and growing things, gardening. So we'll do those in sequence, and I hope to have at least 1 or 2 people from your school up here on each of those topics, so kind of split up the topics if you have enough students to do that. And then we have some sort of special presentations. One of them is on carbon tax. Am I looking in the right direction? Okay. On carbon tax, and another is on identifying and protecting local wildlife ecosystems, so the wildlife in your community. And Ben Cowie-Haskell, who has a nice connection with the federal government, he works on protecting the whales and different fish out on George's Bank. Stellwagen Bank. Okay. So it's not directly related to the energy in your school, but he's going to put up, show you how you can measure the use of energy in buildings. So another topic that your club can address.
It's actually very much related to the energy in your schools. So yeah, I'm going to just briefly introduce a program called Portfolio Manager, developed by EPA, that's available to all of you to measure the energy usage in your schools and to benchmark it, establish a benchline so that you can track that energy over time.
Then any of you who can stay long enough, I'd like to talk with how to have an impact outside of your school. So that'll be the last topic that we cover. Okay, so if your school is involved in recycling, could you send 1 or 2 people to sit up at the table? I know most of you do that, okay? Okay. If you've sent more than 1 person up here, make sure that you save some people to cover gardening and composting, okay? Have a seat. Okay. So where does this go? Silver Lake, Braintree, Milton Academy.
Well, we're kind of leaning in the middle. I don't know. We're kind of also looking for middle school because so we're on a robotics team. I do on the academy and
Great.
but we're trying to do our thing in here. So
Do we have anyone from Quinn? That's you. Okay. Okay. So
When they talk, use this.
okay. This little magic wand in my hand does not give us sound in this room. It's connected to that camera out there. So when you're speaking, if you could hold it, after tonight, Hingham Cable is going to put together a 10-minute little piece for news broadcasting. You may or may not appear in it, but to give you a chance to be on it, you have to hold the wand, okay? So I'd like you to first talk about what you are doing having to do with recycling and what your hope is, what your goal is for recycling in your school. When you're talking, if you could kind of make it so we can see who you are, okay? Let's start right here.
Hi, I'm Jessica. I'm from Braintree High, and at Braintree, we do this recycling program through our green team, and a lot of it is really inclusive with a bunch of different clubs and activities. So we actually make a requirement that different extracurricular activities like Theater Guild and all the sports team have to participate in it. And it's a way to get everyone involved in recycling, and we hope to get more students involved in all the different aspects of our school.
Hi, I'm Grace and I'm Gigi. We're from Silver Lake Middle School, and right now with recycling, we recycle paper, we have a commingled recycle, and we do some textile recycling.
And we're also trying to get the funds for the textile recycling at our school over to us from the PTO, and we're also trying to get grants for a water filtration system in our school as well.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Max,
And I'm Leah.
and our school does a lot of recycling. We have plastic
Oh, Hingham.
Hingham High School. We recycle plastic water bottles, lunch bags, paper. We have bins in every classroom for paper and plastic recycling.
We also have we have 3 water filtration systems around our school that students go with their reusable water bottle, and we like to hold a lot of drives. In the fall, we did a huge sneaker drive where we collected, was it 1,000? How many sneakers did we collect? Yeah, a couple of 1,000 pairs of sneakers, and it was crazy. We had like this giant crate. I don't know if you saw it when you first walked in, and we filled that up like over 2 times. So that was a great way to bring drives to get people to recycle other things that you wouldn't really necessarily think of. And we kind of divvied it up, like some stuff was donated, some stuff was put into the textile bins to be shredded, and yeah, it was a good program.
We're from the Milton school system, and in our schools, we only can recycle paper, and it's really a problem because all these other recyclables are being thrown away.
So yeah, we're like a Lego robotics team. There are 2 other team members who unfortunately couldn't make it today, but we're here to represent them. And so yeah, in the Milton Public Schools, she goes to Milton Academy right now, but she used to be at Cunningham, and like there, and especially in the cafeterias, like we don't even have the ability to recycle paper in the cafeterias. Like in the cafeterias, we only have the ability to throw away stuff, and then in the classrooms, really, we only have the ability to recycle paper, like, and there's styrofoam trays in like the lunchrooms and stuff. So we just want to make our school, the Milton Public Schools, a bit more sustainable.
So we're trying to put single stream recycling there.
Thank you. It's a tough act to follow. I'm at Quincy High School, and we do basic recycling. We do single stream recycling, and we're saving the community the resources that would normally head out to a landfill or an incinerator. Our program is pretty much bare bones. We recycle all the appropriate recyclables that we can. It's not a 100% pure recycling program. There's a lot of contamination that eventually we'll have to overcome, and one of the values that I see coming from this evening is learning about what is being done out there and how we can involve young people to my right, as illustrating the power of getting the educational component and the enthusiasm up through and including the resources that the young people to my right represent. So I'm happy that I can report that we're doing a fairly good job in Quincy, but there's a lot more to do there, and I hope to bring home a lot from this meeting. Thank you.
I'd like to report from and you mentioned water. Oops, thank you. So from Hull, you mentioned water filtration, right? One of the things that the Hull students did, and this was aimed at reducing the number of plastic water bottles. They had a competition, or no, it was sort of a test where they put out cups of water that had either tap water or bottled water without the bottle, and they asked people walking by during lunchtime to take a sip of each one and see if they could tell what was what. And the result was that people really were not able to identify spring water. And so as a result of that, they then made some water bottles, Hull's Pirates on it. This is the logo for the team. The colors are blue and gold, so the logo says blue and gold equals green. And they've just sold the first order was, there are 400 kids in the school. So their first order was for 125 water bottles. They've sold them all. I got one for free. And they plan to put in a water filtration system like yours so that people can fill up these water bottles at the school. The school does paper recycling, also fabric recycling, book, this is open to the public. You can bring books there to get recycled. Okay, I'd like to now get into helping each other. You mentioned that you would like more recycling to be done at the elementary, middle or elementary? In all the schools. Any of you involved in the beginning time of kind of launching recycling in your school? Do you know how that got started? No, you're just there. You get to benefit from it. Any teachers here that know how your school got a strong recycling? Yes?
We had help from Mr. Wyatt.
Okay, Jean? Jean? Do you want to just...
Sure. So we had help from Mr. Wyatt. We had actual paper recycling at the middle school, but we didn't have commingled recycling. And even if you recycle, it does cost money for the landfill to come and pick up the recyclables. So it actually is less money, though, for them to come and pick up commingled recycling as opposed to trash that's going to go to the, I don't know, wherever it goes, the landfill. And so we actually, at this point, are having that picked up once a week, and it's saving the school some money. So instead of doing a regular trash pickup, they pick up the commingled recycling. So it does save the school a little bit of money. But Mr. White was really a good advocate for getting the custodial staff and the administration on board with that. So.
One thing you could try is on the Mass DEP website, there's a green team, and I'm sure a lot of you already know about that, but you can get equipment and they have educational material. One thing that my school district did this year, we applied to Mass DEP, Department of Environmental Protection, and they have sustainable material recovery grants, and you can get grants for your school. Hingham got the grant a few years ago. Our school district got it this year. We got $30,000, and you can use it for stipends to help teachers, custodians. You can use it for educational material and buy like equipment, like recycling bins and totes and whatnot. And what we discovered, we had our waste auditor do a check, and they said, well, if all of our schools in our school district recycle, we can save about $380 or $90 a month during the school year. So when they pick up a trash, in our town, it's $75 a ton. The commingle is $25 a ton, so it's about a third the cost, and the material gets reused. It goes to a recycling sorting facility. And we recycle paper, cardboard, plastic, textiles, books, and we do fundraising for things like inkjet cartridges and cell phones. And what we're hoping with this grant, there's 6 schools in the school system, and what we're hoping to do is kind of level it up. Mrs. Chafee's school does an amazing job, and some schools are doing very little, so we're trying to level it out. If we could get to everybody to her school's level, it would be amazing.
How do we get more schools? How do we share that information with schools? Any thoughts on it?
I think through events like this,
Okay, that's a good beginning, okay.
Something that we've been doing to get other schools involved is I know that some kids from the high school during the day, if they had like a study hall block, we would go to the other elementary schools or to the middle school, and we would go to their lunches and just kind of monitor them with like some little peer pressure and kind of pressure them into doing the right thing and just kind of staring them down and like telling them and like you're like, okay, like this goes here, and you take it out and you make them put it in like the right spot, and that worked out really well, we felt, for us, because it's different from the teachers, because sometimes they just don't really like to listen to them as much, or they're just not as like focused in. But like if it's someone that like they know from, like if it's like your sibling or like your sibling's friends, or you just know them, like they're more inclined to listen and willing to listen. And if you like make them do it, like, all right, like no, like take it out, like put it in the right bin, I feel like that worked out really well. And some of us were fortunate that we had studies, so we had study hall periods, so it matched up that we could go to the schools and do that. But yeah, that worked out really well with us.
Top down, start at the top. Did you have something to add? No. I ask a question? Sure.
No. For the Milton students, do you know why your school doesn't recycle other items?
A bit. So like the representative from Tucker so I went to a Sustainable Milton meeting one time, and there was the representative from Tucker Elementary School was there, and he said that one of the reasons was that we sometimes do have a single stream bin, but it's like one of those big bins, and then like the bins that are in the classrooms are just for paper. And the only reason that we really don't have single stream is because the custodians don't want to carry all the stuff from each classroom. And so Milton High School, I even learned, has like this green team, this after school club, where you can get community service hours, and like at the same time help their community by like taking some bins that were meant to go to that single stream bin instead of like, so by taking some of those bins and like doing the custodian work practically. So really it's really because they'd have to pay the custodians a bit more to carry out that, but in the end it would probably be a bit lighter or the same weight because it's the same stuff going to the same place.
Would anybody any student raise their hand if part of what you do is carry recycling from a classroom to a disposal place? Raise your hand if you do that. Okay, great, thank you. So you're actively involved in making it happen. Next question is, do you take what you learn in school home? I'd like one or two stories of how things are either the same or different at home because of what you do in school. Does somebody want to talk about that?
So I go to Milton Academy, and I literally live on the campus of the high school. So when I go home, I am technically still at school. And my dad also works at Milton Academy, so pretty much everything that happens at Milton, the whole family knows about. So when Milton decides that they want to go green, since we live in faculty housing, a group comes in and went through all of the faucets and showers, pretty much anything that did water, and changed the nozzles and things so that they let out less water at a higher pressure. And so now the whole house has been, greenified. I don't know the word for this. And so also, because we live on the campus, there's a lot of recycling bins near us. Recycling is a really big thing in the house since there's so many materials that are recyclable. Wonderful. So yeah.
Wonderful. Anyone else have a story to tell? Go ahead, Janice.
I have a suggestion for you, Milton kids. When my kids were in elementary school here in Hingham, we started a green committee at the elementary school, and we created this little green team. So there were a couple teachers, there were a couple parents, and it was an honor to do the job of carrying the little plastic bins into the bigger bin that was in the hallway. And then someone would actually, truth be told, when the program started, I and another parent would go to the transfer station here in Hingham. Once a week, I would load all the paper from the school into the back of my car, because at that time, paper wasn't actually being picked up by the town from schools. Anyway, we did that for a year, and then we transitioned to a system where there were those big toter bins that you see around, those 64-gallon toter bins, and it was an honor for these little kids to go around the school to every classroom, take the bin from their classroom into the big toter bin, and then once a week, someone from the transfer station would come and collect the paper and send it to the transfer station for recycling. So maybe you could find a teacher who would help you guys organize that.
So let's just do this by show of hands. How many people in this room, this is out of everybody, how many of you recycle at home? That seems to have had some kind of an impact. Wonderful. Thank you very much for sharing what you're doing. I'd like to combine the next two topics, which are composting and gardening. So if your school does something in that area, come on up. Thank you. This is it? Okay. Jim, what is your school doing? You're doing recycling. You should have been up here on the recycling part. Okay, okay. Okay, so we have a frontier here, okay? Today we were fortunate to be able to go visit the greenhouse and see what's getting done out in the greenhouse here, and to see the composting that in the classroom, in the cafeteria, that then we went outside and saw how the material, both paper, compostable paper, and food that could be composted was being turned into dirt. So we saw the cycle right here. Right now, I'd like you to, if you would, say what school you're from and what is happening at your school in that area of composting and gardening. Shall we start at this end? Okay.
Hi, my name is Nikki Shaven. I'm a paraprofessional at Braintree High School. I work with special education children with moderate to severe disabilities. Basically, about 2 years ago, we were given the home economics room because unfortunately mainstream students were no longer taking home economics. And we were going to do, excuse me, a life skills cooking class, but they did not give us any budget at all. So we built our own garden so that we could supply ourselves with the vegetables, at least that we needed to teach the children how to start cooking. And that led to a composting program. We are composting the salad bar of the both the teachers' salad bar and the students' salad bar so far. Hopefully that will grow. So that's how we get started. It's kind of a necessity. Braintree High School.
I'm Jack. I'm a senior. I'm a senior at Hingham High School. Here at Hingham, we have our gardens in our courtyards, which we use the compost from our bins from the cafeteria, which I think everyone here saw, which we also use. We sell at the local Hingham Farmers Market as a way to raise money for the green team, to be able to do more stuff that we don't, that normally we wouldn't have the budget for. We also have our greenhouse, which I think a lot of you saw. And we have our We have a lot of programs like Slash the Trash, which is where we use varsity sports teams to help monitor the composting in our cafeteria.
We like, what seems to work a lot for us is getting other groups involved, be it like a Global Citizens program, we had them come to a movie night, but having the sports teams involved really makes it a school-wide effort, so it's not, it was the green team, but now it's just Hingham, the green school. I feel like that's the climate that's evolving.
I'm Zoe. I go to Milton Academy, and so yeah, there's a lower school garden, and that led to composting. So for 3rd and 4th grade and 5th grade as well, there is they have activities that every few weeks they switch it up. And one of the activities is gardener, which means a small group of people will go down to the garden, weed it, water it, and pick any ripe produce. And then they also have, it's also an after-school activity, so pretty much anyone who has an after-school program and stays at school afterwards is allowed to go down to the garden and help out. And it also went through the summer, so, and they use and the food goes to pretty much a lot of the gardeners take home some, and in another group is attempting to see if we can get the food into the cafeteria for Milton.
That's great. I'm Janice McPhillips. I don't work at a school. I work at Holly Hill Farm, which is in Cohasset, and but I do spend a lot of my time off the farm working at schools, helping out with school garden programs. So here I come to Hingham High School and help out several times a year with the in the spring and Green Week. We'll have a compost harvesting session where the finished compost will get taken out of the compost piles and put into the garden, and we'll plant, and then we do it again in the fall around America Recycles Day, and Mr. Swanson organizes that. Is there anybody here who is trying to start a school composting program and doesn't know? Okay, so I'll tell you, you know the compost bins, did you see the bins behind the school? Oh, okay. So you can get those for free. The Department of Environmental Protection in the state provides a compost bin, or 12 in the case of Hingham High School, for free. All you have to do is get a teacher or an administrator from the school to register your school as a green school through thegreenteam.org, so www.thegreenteam.org, and then you can get free materials from the state. In fact, you can get recycling bins, you can get toters, you can get signs for idling programs, they have curricula online, you can get compost bins, so there's a lot of free resources there if you're looking for that. I spend a lot of my time at one of the elementaries. There's 4 public elementaries here in Hingham, and I spend a lot of my time doing garden education programs at Plymouth River, which is one of the elementaries, and I run an after-school program there, and I do a lot of curriculum-related programs during the day, and we plant. I've got kids in grades 1 through 5 doing garden education programs, and we grow all kinds of things. And we have a harvest celebration there, and we try and do this at as many schools as possible, but it's particularly successful at this school. And we have a harvest celebration in the fall, and this year we had kale chips, garlic bread from garlic that had been grown in the school, some apples from a tree on site there, kale chips, and roasted potatoes. I grew 35 pounds of potatoes in one school garden, and enough for the entire school for one lunch. But anyway, your school can do that too.
Are you involved in Hull's elementary school garden?
I've been to Hull many times. I've planted many things there. I don't know if any of their food is going to the cafeteria. But you know, one of our goals at the farm is to sort of grow our education program and our staff so that we can have people who are sort of embedded at every school, so that we can, that program at Plymouth River is particularly robust because my kids went to school there, so I've got very good connections there. And the PTO is very generous and provides a lot of funding. But I would love to be able to do that at every school. I'd love to have a person who can spend lots of time at every school. So
here's the person to talk to for your school. When I taught community service in Hull, we had a garden right on the front lawn of the Memorial School. And I've had, that was about 10 or 15 years ago. So now the kids I taught are grown, and I've had them come up to tell me that they're gardening, and that feels absolutely fantastic to me. Again, how many of you grow something to eat at your house? Wow, I am impressed, amazed. Wow. How many of you right now have something in your garden growing that is either, okay, at our house we're eating Brussels sprouts out of our garden, which is really nice. Be able to walk out there for dinner and pick your vegetables. Go ahead.
I would also just like to make a point of how beneficial these classes are with getting students outside. Personally, I can feel my own mood and readiness to be educated afterwards. I just feel, having in the sun, I do not take any of the botany classes, but I do garden, and it really relieves stress and is relaxing, and just actually sitting by the window and getting sunlight is really helpful and makes me focus better, I feel. So that's another just hidden benefit that I think is important to highlight.
Okay, while Zoe is up here, I'd like to invite Anna to come up with her to talk about, thank you all for talking about gardening. So you told me that you're working on carbon tax, okay? Can you explain, first of all, explain what a carbon tax is so people make sure everybody knows, and then tell me what you personally are doing on it.
All right, so...
And your sign, so we know where you're from. Okay, great.
We're from the 6th grade at Milton Academy, and every year the 6th grade does a grade-wide sustainability project where everyone breaks into groups, and we're a group, and does a project focused on sustainability. So we decided, since carbon dioxide emissions are really harmful to our environment and are a large part of what's causing global warming, our idea was to put a carbon price on Massachusetts. So a carbon price is basically taxing you for the carbon dioxide emissions that you have. So we want to take this carbon price and use it to put solar panels on high schools to help them become greener.
So yeah, the carbon tax would price you on pretty much anything that uses carbon dioxide when it's made, when it gets to wherever you're buying it from, and if it's something like if you're going to buy a cell phone, that both will make carbon dioxide when you charge it, and then is made using carbon dioxide, so that would have a larger tax than other things. And so we wanted to use the money to try and make high schools as sustainable as possible. So we were thinking that we would target one high school every year, and with the money from the tax we could attempt to put solar panels in, insulate the building more so less heating was needed, things like that. And then we started by talking to people at our school who did stuff like that. So the CFOO of Milton Academy, we talked to her, and she told us how we'd gotten solar panels on our school and how we can get them on other schools, and how they might help and how they work exactly on the school.
But then we learned that Governor Baker, when he was elected, made a no new tax policy. So basically, if we pass a tax, he'll look really bad because he broke his promise. So he will veto any tax that we make. And since our money would be potentially going to government facilities, schools, it would be a tax. So we've decided that we want to try to get it in Milton, which is where we live. And then we're going to try to petition him to get it in all of Massachusetts.
So yeah, we were hoping if we could prove that enough people in Milton actually wanted the tax, it wouldn't make him look too bad, because in ways that it would be worse for him if enough people agreed that they wanted something that he wouldn't give them than if he gave it to somebody and they were okay with it. So we're going to attempt a petition for the carbon tax, and we're going to see how it goes, because this is new to us.
So if any of you know anything about this, we would really appreciate some advice.
You've got some coming right here.
Well, I'm very glad to join this discussion. Yes, my name is Connie Gorfinkel, and I'm a member of 350 Massachusetts, which is a climate organization. And it so happens the campaign I'm working on with 350 Massachusetts has to do with what we call carbon pricing, because it's not a tax. There are currently 2 bills in the Massachusetts legislature that are going through the legislature right now. And the idea, our idea, the idea of these bills is that the people would be charged for the amount of fossil fuel they burn. The consumer would be charged for that, but that money will be returned. It won't be a tax because it won't be going into the general fund. It will be returned to the consumers, and the less fossil fuels that you burn will be that charge will be less for you. So this is a good thing, and we're just waiting for it to get through. So there's nothing for the governor to argue against. Rebates. The money will come back. The money eventually will come back to the consumer. This is the only thing that's going to work as far as getting people to use. British Columbia. That's the closest example we have. Gasoline, any fossil fuel that you use. Exactly. Anything like that that generates CO2. That will come back to you as a rebate.
And is the idea that you make people pay more and they might think more carefully about how they
Exactly. It will.
But if the money comes back, so then what?
It will get them to behave in a different way. This is not pie in the sky. This has been very successful in British Columbia and in other parts of the world. In fact, we are just about the only country that does not have a national carbon tax or carbon pricing going on.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yes, so we have heard about the about carbon pricing. We were just considering different, because we were hoping that we could find a way to use the money, and that's why the tax was what we were hoping for. We talked to Governor Baker. I'm wrong. I'm sorry. We talked about Governor Baker with Senator Barrett, and we were, and he told us that I believe he has a bill going that is very similar to that is a carbon pricing bill, and we talked to him about it, and we were still hoping that there was some way we could raise money to help schools, because although carbon pricing was definitely our top priority, helping schools, we figured that schools were probably some of the largest carbon fossil fuel consumers and carbon generators in towns and stuff. So we figured if we could find a way to make them more sustainable, it would help with a lot of carbon emissions and the carbon footprint of towns.
The other legislator who has a bill, his name is Pacheco. That's what he's trying to do, to get a portion of that money to go toward what you're talking about. Turbines, solar panels, so he has the same idea. Now what the problem is getting those 2 senators together and to have some kind of a compromise, a word that is disappearing from our language, you will notice.
Quick question for the group. How many schools here have solar panels on their roofs? Wow, that's pretty impressive.
We don't use that. We have it. We're renting our space to a solar company right now.
Great, you got it done. Okay,
Yep.
excellent. Okay, I'd like, go ahead. wondering. Excuse me, would you introduce yourself?
So my name is Jill Cowie. I live in Marshfield, and I'm curious. Yeah, we're married. So I was curious, as someone who wants to voluntarily tax myself, carbon taxes when I fly and stuff, I'm wondering if there's a way you can make a link available, because I would love to support a local initiative versus buying water filters in Africa, which is a noble cause, but it would mean a lot more and more directly related to the climate and, abatement. Yeah. So.
Great idea, okay?
I'm Gene Wyatt from Kingston. I'm the chairman of the Green Energy Committee, and I work with the PTO. One of the things we do at Silver Lake, there was a company that was putting in a big solar field, and we got the benefit of the SRECs. So the Silver Lake Regional School District gets about $140,000 a year in SRECs. So we don't have any solar on site, but we made a deal with another company to be the beneficiary. So if maybe you have an older school and your roof isn't equipped to handle it or something, there are alternatives. I know one of the things we're thinking of doing is putting carports over the parking lot so that we can get collect solar from that.
I think you just got some ideas about where to get the money. Okay. Okay. Braintree has a unique project that they're working on that I'd love to have you all know about. First, thank you so much for sharing what you're doing. Thank you. I don't know about you, but I am impressed. Okay, wow. Okay, Braintree High School has been doing a project that has to do with protecting local wildlife. And they've got some slides, and they're going to tell you what they've been up to. Who gets the microphone?
I'll start it off. We'll just introduce these girls and I'll let them do the hard stuff.
In a second. Introduce yourself first.
Yes, so my name is Griffin Weigel. I am a second-year teacher at Braintree High, and I am currently the advisor for the Braintree High Environmental Club. So if you guys look at that one that says HHS Environmental Club 2015-16 project, put me right on track. So beautiful stuff. As we're coming up here, I just want to start off with just a quick introduction to this. I'm going to let these girls take over and do the hard stuff. This is Jess and Jess. They are, yeah, we made it easy on you guys. There's two of my top students in the club, and they're going to talk you through a little bit of the story of how this project evolved. From an advisor standpoint, I just want to talk a little bit about kind of what it's meant to me. I came into this club with a school that already had a green team that was separate, that already had a composting program and a farm program that was handled separately. So as an environmental club, one of our struggles was, how do we define ourselves? How do we take on something that's really different for us? And one of the things that came up last year is we started thinking about what can we do to involve ourselves in the local wildlife. My experience coming into this, I used to work at the New England Aquarium, and I wanted to find a way to involve that in some of the education that we do at the school and look at it just a different way of experiencing the local wildlife. From my standpoint, I took 7 kids last year. I introduced that project, started to run with it this year. Now we're up to 29 students who show up almost every single meeting. They approach me in the hallways. They tell me about what they're excited about. I have parents emailing me asking for internships. The involvement has just skyrocketed. So I found something that kids were very passionate about. I'm going to turn it over to two girls now to tell you exactly how that evolved and what's kind of been growing at our school and how we've developed that. So starting off, Jess. Yes. All those nails, close it and try again. Let's get a copy of that. Do a little shebang. Fingers crossed. Open, please. How do you guys feel about interpretive thought?
That's fine.
All right. So we're going to ask that you guys have a great imagination today. That you try to picture things in your mind as these girls will.
Double click on the left column and the top slide on the left.
Double click on what's highlighted here.
As soon as you move up, it goes away. Well, what we'll be teaching if technology just works. You know? If everything went the way you wanted to, every day would be boring. You got to make things a little bit exciting.
It's on my seat.
If anybody knows or
Hey, you.
Thank you.
Okay, so we are the VHS Environmental Club. Take it away, Jess.
So today we're going to run through our project and we're mostly going to talk about how this year our main focus, and we're actually really excited to talk about it. So as Environmental Club, we take a few field trips, and the easiest and most accessible one is to go hiking in Blue Hills, because it's a quick drive from our high school, and it's really accessible and it's free. So it's a great opportunity for us students to get out into the environment. And the really cool thing about going hiking is that we get a chance to go see some of the local wildlife. A lot of times we actually don't see it, we just kind of see hints of it. So like some deer trails, and we hear some birds once in a while, but it's really cool though. And last year we actually took a field trip to the New England Aquarium, and it was a really cool opportunity because not only did we see a lot of cool exotic animals like sea turtles and things, the thing that was most surprising to us was the fact that they had a lot of exhibits about local species which we didn't even know existed in our backyards. So they had a few tanks of like a New England pond and New England rivers and things like that, and we thought, why don't we showcase this in our school? Because a lot of students don't know what is in our backyard, let alone what's in Blue Hills too. So we decided to build an aquarium at our school featuring native species.
So once we had the idea, we went and we got permission from our principal to use a storage closet that we had at the school. And when we first showed up, it was full of junk. The janitors were using it. There were boxes from teachers who had been passed away for 10 years. It was just a mess. And so from there, yeah, so we realized that in order to make this happen, we needed funding. And so the Braintree High School Library just redid it, like remodeled, and they had a bunch of old library shelves just laying around. And so we used the wood from the library shelves and we made it into cutting boards to sell, because when we were brainstorming, we knew that we needed to make something that we could sell and get to the people. But we didn't want to make something that people would take home and just like throw away. We wanted something that people could use and it would last. And then some of the wood was also from an old mill, whatever, that's fine. And so we ended up purchasing a 180-gallon tank that we will be putting up in the front, and then we'll have 3 other terrariums to to go with it. Right now we have 2 tanks set up, like nursery tanks for the plants that will go into our main exhibit, and yeah.
And now that we have like kind of our setup ready, we're still waiting on getting our actual fish and plants into that big tank so that students can actually have the chance to actually see what's going on. And we're thinking about actually catching our local, catching like our fish. So right now it's kind of cold, which is why we're waiting till springtime. So then we actually have the chance to go out and catch the fish for our tank. Because that would also give us the opportunity to go into the environment and kind of see what's there. Because then it kind of like brings it back to licking it out there. And after that, with the terrariums, we're thinking about doing a Head Start program. And if you guys don't know what a Head Start program, pretty much it's when we take juvenile or younger animals from the wild and we bring them in and we'd raise them and give them all the food that they need. And when it comes spring or summer, we'd re-release them where they're bigger and stronger than their like non-ones that could have the chance. And that gives them a better opportunity to survive. So it would also help their population sustain, especially if they're more endangered. And we're actually hope to work with Medford High because they have a program, a Head Start program, that works with salamanders and turtles and things. So that'd be a good way to work with other communities too. And we also hope to use the tanks that we're building and the trams that we're using to showcase animals that would link to the curriculum at our schools. So it can work with biology classes, environmental science classes, and all these other different things. And it can kind of bring to life the things that are in our textbooks because they're kind of more abstract. But by seeing them, it gets students more excited to learn about them too.
These are all the fishing spots that you can look for around Braintree. Oh, you're looking for pike, you go here. You want longer sunfish, you go here. But all of a sudden, being someone who doesn't come from this area, I'm starting to find out a ton about it. I'm getting a lot of people who are not tending to be involved with a lot of different clubs coming in and seeing me, finding ways to kind of get involved with this program. So it's been a hugely rewarding experience and something that we're really excited to kind of see how it's moving forward. None of us have experience in this. Going through those cutting boards, we came into it with, we don't have a wood shop anymore. And we found a bunch of hand tools. With a lot of YouTube and determination, we just put kids to work and figured out ways to carve all these things. Small amounts, so that was a lot of fun. All right, so that's kind of what we had.
A very short little introduction to how to measure your energy use for any building whatsoever. Yeah.
I work for National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, which is part of the federal government, and our office is on First Cliff in Scituate. And part of my responsibilities is as sort of facility manager for that, what used to be called the Coast Guard Station. And in the process of managing that facility, I learned about this EPA Portfolio Manager program, and actually we are required to use Portfolio Manager to track our energy usage and to use it to essentially establish a baseline of energy against which you can measure your progress or lack thereof over years. So I just wanted to share this with you because sort of the next step, I suppose, in your efforts to be energy conscious and efficient would be possibly to get your school administrators to adopt Portfolio Manager to actually look at energy usage in your building. And you know, if those solar panels are ever installed, or the ones that you do have, you can look at energy usage over time in relation to those solar panels or wind turbines in the case of Hull, or whatever energy conservation measure is installed. So what Portfolio Manager does is, you know, some of these things, assessing the whole building energy as well as water consumption, track changes in energy, water, greenhouse gas emissions over time. You can compare your building to other buildings around the nation. You know, there are a variety of metrics you can use to look at. So, you know, you can use this for any type of building and compare your building against a national sample of similar buildings or other schools, like on the South Shore, for example. Here are the types of buildings that have been used. You can see K through 12 schools down there. And what you need is property information on the buildings, the number of rooms, the number of computers, et cetera, and then square footage, and then energy bills are absolutely necessary to input on a monthly basis into this program. So, you know, I realize it's difficult for students to be doing this, but you know, you guys could encourage your administrators or the superintendent to adopt this program and start using it. So that's all I want to say, basically, introduce you to EPA Portfolio Manager. It's free. Anybody can download it and start using it tomorrow. Thank you.